Welcome to Honeybee, real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. My name is Harold, and after 15 years of marriage, everything I believe about love and trust collapsed with truth that broke me completely. Lauren and I first crossed paths in our mid-20s, both just beginning our careers. She worked in finance at a pharmaceutical company, while I was working my way up in healthcare administration. From the very start, there was an effortless spark between us. Similar values about family and ambition, and the same dream of building a steady, comfortable future together. The early years of marriage were everything I had wished for. We bought our first home, traveled when we could afford it, and stood by each other through job transitions and the usual struggles. Lauren was ambitious and determined, qualities I admired deeply. Eventually, she moved to a larger pharmaceutical firm and climbed her way into senior management within regulatory affairs. I carved my own path in hospital administration, rising to director of operations at a regional medical center. The work was demanding, but fulfilling. We both knew the pressures of carrying big responsibilities. We felt like a strong team, or at least I thought we were. Looking back, the cracks began around year 10. Lauren grew distant, nitpicking little things I did or failed to do. She came home stressed, but refused to talk about her day anymore. Whenever I planned date nights or weekend trips, she dismissed them with excuses about work or timing. I convinced myself it was just part of marriage's natural ebb and flow. By then, we were in our late 30s, weighed down by responsibilities, and stuck in routines that lacked the spark of our younger years. I believed we'd get through it, like we always had. Around year 12, Lauren started bringing up a new executive at her company, Michael. She described him as a sharp strategist, reshaping their regulatory approach. She'd talk about his insights in meetings, industry predictions, or funny anecdotes from work lunches. At first, I was glad. Lauren seemed excited about work again. Michael was married with 2 kids, so I had no reason to feel threatened. But gradually, his name appeared in nearly every conversation. She'd stay late, working on projects with him, attend conferences where he presented, and answer texts at dinner, apologizing because it was urgent. Her behavior shifted. She paid more attention to her appearance. Nothing wrong with that, but it was different. The hardest part was how uninterested she became in me. She'd rather stay late at work than share a meal with me. Weekends were about catching up on her backlog instead of us spending time together. Every vacation or evening plan I suggested was brushed aside. The space between us grew until I didn't know how to reach her anymore. When I brought up feeling disconnected, she turned defensive, accusing me of being needy or not respecting her workload. Somehow, I ended up feeling guilty for wanting her time and attention. Still, I believed things would improve. I loved her, and I told myself she loved me too, just not as openly as before. Then came the revelation that shattered everything. Lauren's best friend, Janet, someone we both trusted for years, called me one evening asking to talk privately. Lauren was away at a conference, and I later realized that's why Janet chose that moment. When she arrived, she seemed nervous, which was unusual for someone usually so straightforward. She sat in my living room, took a breath, and confessed that Lauren had been confiding in her about feelings for a man at work. It wasn't just emotional anymore. It had become physical. Lauren told Janet she was torn between not wanting to hurt me and believing she was in love with this man. I refused to believe it. I told Janet she must have misunderstood, that Lauren would never betray me. 15 years together, a life we'd built, everything we'd been through, an affair just didn't fit the woman I thought I knew. But Janet looked at me with deep sadness. She admitted she'd wrestled for months over whether to tell me, but she couldn't bear watching me live in the dark anymore. She said Lauren had even asked her advice about leaving me for Michael. That's when Janet knew she had to tell me the truth. Even then, I clung to denial. Maybe Lauren just had a crush. Maybe Janet had exaggerated. I thanked her for being honest, but said I needed time to think and decide how to approach Lauren. Janet looked disappointed, but understood. After she left, I lay awake all night, replaying every late night, every business trip, every secretive phone call. The puzzle pieces finally fit, and the picture made me sick. Still, I couldn't accuse Lauren with only Janet's words. If I was wrong, I'd damage our marriage further. If I was right, Lauren would just deny and hide things better. I needed undeniable truth. Reluctantly, I hired a private investigator. It felt awful, like betraying my wife by spying, but living in limbo was worse. If I was mistaken, I could let it go and try to rebuild. If not, I needed to know. 3 weeks later, the investigator handed me a folder filled with photographs, documents, and timelines. The evidence was undeniable. Lauren and Michael had been carrying on an affair for years. There were photos of them entering hotels together. Proof of trips Lauren had claimed were solo conferences, and other signs of their hidden relationship. Michael was 42, married to his wife Gloria for 16 years, with 2 teenage sons. He'd joined Lauren's company 3 years earlier, right around when the affair began. The investigator also confirmed Gloria knew nothing. Seeing those pictures broke me. Lauren smiling, holding hands, being intimate with another man. It was like watching my entire marriage collapse before my eyes. But at the same time, I felt a strange clarity. All the times I questioned myself, wondering if I was too demanding or imagining her distance. It wasn't me. She had already checked out of our marriage. I couldn't stop thinking about Gloria, another spouse living the same lie I'd been living. She deserved to know. After researching her online, I reached out via her work email, asking to meet privately about something important. She agreed, and we met at a coffee shop. I showed her the evidence, letting her choose how much to see. She looked through it all, her face shifting from pain to something harder, cold resolve. Then she told me this wasn't Michael's first betrayal. Early in their marriage, he'd had another affair. She forgave him for the sake of their children, but deep down she'd always expected it again. Now, she said she was finished. She promised to call a divorce lawyer immediately and make sure Michael paid the price. That conversation shook me. I'd been so focused on fixing my marriage that I hadn't considered what I wanted if it couldn't be fixed. I realized it was time to protect myself. I hired my own attorney, gathered financial documents, and prepared for divorce. Since we had no kids, that part was simpler, but our shared assets were extensive. My lawyer told me the evidence of Lauren's affair could be valuable in negotiations, particularly regarding alimony. During this time, I grew emotionally detached. Lauren noticed, asking if I was upset. I brushed it off as stress, while inside I was finished. 3 weeks later, Gloria told me she'd file for divorce. She also warned me Michael had been served papers, so Lauren would probably know soon. Gloria wasn't keeping it quiet. She wanted everyone to see who Michael really was. That night, Lauren came home uneasy, clearly shaken. I asked if she was having a rough day. She muttered about work stress. Then I asked directly if she was upset because she and Michael had been caught. The look on her face told me everything. I laid out the evidence. I told her I'd already spoken with an attorney and would be filing soon. She broke down, crying, begging, promising to end the affair, to quit her job, to go to counseling, to do anything. But it was too late. Trust had been destroyed. I told her I was done, and I left to stay with my brother. The divorce dragged on for 8 months. Lauren fought everything, even demanding alimony, despite being the one who destroyed our marriage. Meanwhile, Gloria ensured Michael's infidelity became public knowledge, ruining his reputation. She gained custody of their children, their home, and most assets, leaving him with very little. 6 months in, Gloria told me she reported the affair to their company's HR. Both Lauren and Michael were suspended and shortly after, fired. Their relationship had violated company policy and created liability. Oddly, I felt both sadness and closure. I never wanted Lauren's life to collapse, but actions have consequences. She had chosen this path. Since the divorce, Lauren has emailed me apologies, asking if we could at least be friends. I haven't replied. It's not about hate. I simply don't owe her anything after the destruction she caused. Gloria and I occasionally check in. She's focused on her kids and her work, building a stable new life. As for me, I'm slowly piecing together my own future. I've reconnected with old friends, and though I might date again someday, right now I'm learning to rediscover myself outside of marriage. The road ahead is uncertain, but I know one thing. My future will be built on honesty and self-respect. My marriage lacked both in the end. Starting over at this stage of life isn't what I expected. But sometimes, the worst heartbreak becomes a doorway to something better.